Welcome back to episode 4. So in this episode, we'll be discussing from the ground up. So we'll be talking about building strength and mobility after finding your perfect shoe. We're back to the runner's soul. I'm Sharon, your podiatrist, runner, and unapologetic foot nerd. So, last week in episode 3, we discussed about the great shoe debate. And it was a very interesting one. I got a lot of really good feedback about that one. And we talked about how to choose the right pair for your body, when inserts are worth the investment, and why barefoot running is neither a magic bullet nor the devil. So hopefully you've either found or are on your way to finding footwear that works with your feet instead of against them. But here's the thing. Even the best shoes can't compensate for weak muscles or stiff joints. Shoes are certainly tools, but your body is the engine. And if that engine isn't strong, efficient, and mobile, it doesn't matter how fancy your tools are. So today we're going to be shifting gears from gear to grit, talking about the strength and mobility that make every stride smoother, faster, and more injury-proof. I know what some of you are thinking.
I don't have time for strength training.
Or I run to run, not to lift weights. Well, I'm going to show you how even 5 minutes a day can make a huge difference in your running. We're going to talk about the muscle groups most runners neglect and why ignoring them is like driving with the parking brake on. We're also going to discuss how to weave strength and mobility and make it work into your schedule without overcomplicating your life. So, by the end of this episode, you'll have a simple, realistic plan you can start today. Whether you run once a week, twice a week, 10 times a week, or you're deep into marathon prep, this is going to be a good one for you. So let's talk about why running might look like a smooth forward glide, but biomechanically, it's a series of controlled one-legged hops, thousands of them in every run. Every single hop can load your body with up to 3 to 5 times your body weight. So if you weigh 70 kilograms, that's over 200 kilograms of force on your legs, your hips, and core in every step. So multiply that by thousands of steps, and you can see why strength matters. If your muscles can't handle that force, something else has to, usually your joints, tendons, or ligaments. And that's when injuries creep in. And this is the reason why we talk about having the correct footwear. Because if you don't have the right footwear, then you don't have enough shock absorption. And when the body's in motion, it's 3 to 5 times your body weight. So it's really important that the shoes protect your joints and your muscles. So strong runners, they use less energy per step because their muscles are efficient. They delay fatigue during long runs. They recover faster between sessions. And they handle the mileage increases without breaking down. So think of 2 cars. One has a worn out suspension and one has been serviced and tuned. Both can drive, both can get you from A to B, but one will handle a bumpy road without rattling apart. So here's a case story for you. I had a patient training for her first half marathon. She was fit, but all her training was running, run. No strength work at all. So around week 7, her knees started aching on long runs. We added just 2 sessions a week of bodyweight glute and quad work. Nothing fancy, didn't take very long, just a few minutes. And just a few squats, bridges and step-ups. And within 1 month, her pain dropped dramatically and she finished her race comfortably. So now let's discuss the strength myths that hold runners back. Let's bust a few myths that keep runners away from strength training. It's very simple. They believe strength training will make me bulky and slow. No. Properly done, it makes you more efficient, powerful, and less injury prone. The other myth is running already strengthens my legs. Well, it doesn't really, because running builds endurance, not necessarily the type of muscular strength that supports joints under repeated stress. The other myth is, but I don't have the time. Well, you don't need hours. Even 5 to 10 minutes twice a week makes a difference. Even if it's just a case of, you're putting the kettle on for your coffee, and just every time the kettle goes on for your coffee, you just take those minutes to just do a few little stretches. It will make the world of difference. The other myth is strength work means heavy gym lifts. Nope, it doesn't. You can use bands, body weight, and a bit of creativity goes a long, long way. I'm going to tell you about the weak links I see every week. So in clinic, the same weak spots show up time and time again. And they are the glutes. So if you have weak glutes, then they can't stabilize your hips. This leads to knee pain, the ITB syndrome, and even foot issues. And the next one is calves. Undertrained calves can overload the Achilles tendon and steal your push-off power. The third one, intrinsic foot muscles. These are tiny little muscles that support your arch and absorb shock absorption. And most runners ignore these little muscles completely. Then, let's not forget tight hip flexors. That's from sitting all day. So if you've got an office job or you're sitting on a computer all day, you'll probably find that your hip flexors are very tight. Because unfortunately, sitting is a very unnatural position for the body. And if you're in that position day after day after day, you'll find that your hip flexors will start to shorten and tighten up. And the other problem is the tight hamstrings. So when you have tight hamstrings, it messes with your stride mechanics. So these are the 2 important ones that it's good to work on. So let's work on some strength moves that really work. You don't need a gym membership or an hour a day. Just a few smart moves, just done every day. So the main ones I recommend are single leg calf raises. So if you can do 3 sets of 12 per side, you'd be doing really well. And like I say, you don't have to find extra time in your day. Just, when you have the kettle on to make your coffee, or when there's adverts in between your programs. Also, glute bridges are brilliant, or the single leg variations for more of a challenge. And the step-ups or Bulgarian split squats, they're so good for the glutes and the quads. Some short foot exercises are definitely a must to train your arch stability. And some monster walks with a band for the hip stabilizers. So here's a pro tip. Pair one lower leg, one glute, and one foot exercise and commit to them twice a week. Consistency beats intensity. So, let me share with you a real runner success story. Another one of my marathon clients, she used to roll her ankles often. So we added some banded ankle work and some balance drills twice a week. She went from spraining her ankle all the time to running 2 full seasons injury-free. Another of my runner patients had constant shin splints. We found that weak calf muscles was the culprit and poor single leg stability. So we did some calf raises, some toe walks, and balance training, fixed it in about 6 weeks. So let's talk about mobility, the other half of the equation. Strength without mobility, it's like owning a sports car with the handbrake half on. And the key areas for runners are the ankles. Stiff ankles lead to poor shock absorption. So stretch calves, mobilize the ankles. It's really as simple as that. Then the hips. Did you know that tight hip flexors shorten your strides? So you can use lunges and hip openers to really help with those. And the big toe, that is very important for balance and push off. So without an extension, push off suffers. So if you've got things like, if you've got bunions, and your big toe is kind of deviating in the other direction, you may have problems with this. So can I suggest a weekly strength and mobility plan? So here's a starter template for you. We're going to work on 3 main areas. We're going to work on strength, mobility, and foot strength. So if we work on strength, it'll only take 10 to 15 minutes twice a week. Mobility, 5 minutes daily should do it. And then foot strength, 2 to 3 times a week in warm-ups. Because it's just small, consistent efforts beat sporadic, intense ones. So this is my favorite part. Listeners' questions and answers. So the first question I've been given today is,
should I do strength before or after running?
Well, the answer is, if it's heavy lifting, do it on non-run days or after easy runs. Light work can be part of the warm-up. Second question I've been given to answer is,
can yoga replace strength training?
Well, the answer is, yoga is great for mobility and stability, but it's not a complete substitute for load-based strength work. But definitely, if you can do some yoga in addition to your training, that would be brilliant. So that's a wrap for episode 4, guys. Today we built on your running engine. We talked about the strength, stability, and mobility that turn good shoes into great runs. But here's the thing. Building strength is only half the battle. You also have to know when to back off. So next week, we're going to talk about the other side of training, recovery. So we'll cover how rest actually makes you stronger, why skipping recovery days can actually undo all the hard work you've just put in, and how to spot early signs of overtraining before they sideline you. So, if you've ever wondered whether you're doing too much or too little or not enough, episode 5 is definitely one you cannot miss. So guys, until next time, run smart, run strong, and I'll see you next week.